This is going to be my first attempt at making oxtail street food tacos. I already cooked oxtails a lot of times, but mostly it was soup. In the Netherlands where I live, oxtail soup is considered to be a delicacy. It has a super rich and creamy broth and is packed full with flavor. But a couple of years ago it also became popular in the barbecue community. People like Malcolm Reed started making their own smoked oxtail recipes and they were very popular. I tried smoking it on my barbecue and it worked out really well. And it was very tasty. But there's a problem with oxtail. The flavor is not the problem. The texture is not the problem. The problem is the shape of it. Take a look at my oxtail. It has the large tailbone in the center. And then it has these sticking out bones on the side. And as it tapers out towards the end of the tail, you get these really tiny pieces. And also, we haven't talked about the amount of fat that's on the outside of this. So if you want to make something that absorbs fat really good, like a soup, then this is absolutely perfect. However, if you got a bite out of this and then don't enjoy fat, you're not going to like oxtail. But the solution might be somewhere in between. Somewhere in between barbecue and somewhere in between not turning it into a soup. This is not going to make any financial sense, by the way. So if you're looking for a good value piece of meat for barbecue, I don't know what's it like in your country, but oxtail prices are literally through the roof. I don't know why. It is not a great cut. It doesn't deliver any value other than for soup. So yeah, even if we turn it into tacos, it's gonna be very expensive tacos. I consider myself to be lucky because recently we butchered my neighbor's cow. It is a crossbreed between Black Angus and Holsteiner, and together with my butcher Gert-Jan van der Horst, we made it into all these beautiful cuts of beef, among which, of course, oxtail. So for me, it doesn't matter if I'm eating ribeye or oxtail or burgers. I'm just paying the same kilogram price. So I guess in that sense I'm lucky, and that's why this makes sense, but we need to figure this out. Is this going to work? Is this going to be something that is worth making? Let's start with doing the preparations on our beautiful oxtail. And no, I'm not gonna cut off any fat. I'm just gonna keep it simple and put on a little bit of Pitmaster X Texas barbecue seasoning. I'm just gonna sprinkle that on and let it sit for about half an hour. In the meantime, I'm gonna fire up my smoker, and I'll be using the Borniak smoker. Since it's absolutely perfect for the job, I just need to fire it up, set the temperature, and I'm aiming for about 140 degrees Celsius. Normally I'm smoking at a lot lower temperature, but with this amount of fat, I do want it to render down somewhat. And I also want to capture the drippings of fat. So I'm going to put the oxtail on a tray and catch the drippings of fat. And so this tray is going directly in the smoker on a smoke rack. I'm going to close the lid. I'm going to set it to smoke. And for smoking, I will use some Alder smoke wood. Normally I like to use beech, but I want to go a little bit heavier in flavor this time. So I'm choosing a smoke wood that is heavier. And I really need something to balance up against the heavy flavor of the oxtail. The oxtail had 2 hours of smoke and they look absolutely fantastic. So it's time to take them out and start on the next step. If you could just smell the rich fragrance of the fat that's rendering down and the smoky beef flavor. But to retain as much of the flavors that we have and protect it from the smoke, we're now going to wrap it up. So the oxtail goes into the aluminum foil. Just get it in there. And if there's some fat, I'm going to add that too. While I could just now wrap it up and put it back in the barbecue, I'm not going to, because this is an opportunity to create more. And that's why I'm adding spring onion, jalapeno, and tomato paste. And hopefully in the end, that's gonna give me a really nice, enjoyable, and flavorful, tasty piece of meat. So I'm gonna pack this up real tight and put it back in the smoker. I'm gonna close the lid, shut the smoke off, and now it will just be that 140 degrees Celsius that's going to cook these oxtails. And that's probably going to take a long time. You see, everything has to render down and break down. Yep, probably a long time. But the good news about that is that these vegetables are going to be integrated in all of that flavor, and they're going to be soft and tender and very enjoyable. And then after all that time of waiting, it's finally time to check in on the results. Oh, whoa. if you could only smell this. This smells absolutely amazing. And hopefully it's super soft. Ooh, it is super soft. Take a look at that. So soft. I'm going to remove all the vegetables and they go into some beef broth. I'm also going to put the juices of what render down into the mix with the beef broth and the vegetables and then blitz it up. I've got everything prepared. I got the beef shredded from the oxtail. I got the gravy and the vegetables all ground up with a little bit of beef broth, and then I got a couple of salsa, some onions, and cilantro. So the cilantro, if you don't like it, don't eat it. It's that simple. Life's too short, you're not 8 anymore. You can decide for yourself if you should be eating cilantro or not. Now to celebrate this great meal, I'm gonna use a brand new Pitmaster hand-polished cast iron skillet. So this thing, fresh from the package, is an absolute beast. And personally, of course it's me, but this is probably the best pan you can buy in the whole wide world. Your grandchildren's children will be cooking in this pan. Of course, if you want to know more about this pan, we got plenty of videos on the channel and you can find it in our shop, shop.pitmasterx.com. But let's focus back on making these tortillas because they're going to be freaking delicious. First thing that I got to do is warm this pan up, of course. If you're using this pan for the first time, just bring it up to temperature and then let it cool down a little bit and clean it off. And you really don't need to season it because as I will show you, it's already good to go. Because this pan is hand polished. Hand polished cast iron is super smooth. You also have polished cast iron, which is not going to be as smooth and you're not going to get the same results. But this one, hand polished, to really fine structure. So this is going to be instantly non-stick. I'm going to take a little bit of fat of the meat, drop it in the pan and let it become warm. Then in goes a small tortilla, the oxtail goes on and I'm going to fold it over and fry it until crisp. Then I'm going to fill it up, time to open it up, add some sweet onions, a little bit of guacamole salsa, habanero salsa. If you want a little bit of fresh cilantro or coriander, and that's it. Dip it in the beef broth with the vegetables. Well, let's find out. Is it a good taco? There we go. That is ridiculously rich and creamy. The oxtail meat is just so succulent and so fall apart tender, you don't even realize you're biting into something. If anything, only the onions a little bit crunchy, but the rest is just melt in your mouth tender. This is absolutely fantastic. It's insane. It's pricey, but it's insane. No need for cheese. Definitely no need for cheese. I do apologize for everyone who's waiting at the end to figure out what the dog thinks of it, but I'm sorry. There's not enough to go around. The dog gets the bones. Hope it's okay. I know it's not okay, but